entrepreneur and I'm going on my 5th year.
Welcome to the Virtual Café, where we tell stories that slap straight from people who have been through the mud but never collapsed. Today, I'm sitting down with Ruhi Paul Johnson, a senior marketing leader with 17 years of experience across social, influencer, and brand marketing. She's led award-winning campaigns that blend creativity, culture, and performance for some of the world's biggest brands in tech, CPG, and entertainment. She currently works at Adobe, where she builds and scales influencer programs, drives social strategy, and leads teams with certainty and care. Rue is also an ad color leader and a frequent industry speaker, sharing her thought leadership on LinkedIn and on stage. She explores her brand of human-centered leadership, what it takes to grow a career as a remote leader and a military spouse, how being a mom of 3 boys is her superpower, and how she uses AI to lighten the mental load of it all. Without further ado, let's jump in.
Yes, thank you for having me, Jose. So good to
Thank
be
you for
here and with
coming.
our tea. Cheers.
There we go. Cheers. There we go.
Wouldn't be the virtual cafe without that.
Can't have it, right? So how's it going? How you feeling today?
Good, I feel good. I'm happy to be speaking with you. You know, live out here in Honolulu, so it's never a bad day weather-wise here, and you can never be unhappy when the sun is shining, right?
Little soft, little flex.
Little
I'm
flex,
here in
you know.
Honolulu, this is where I live.
I mean, depends how you're looking at it. It definitely is an interesting place to move to when you got 3 kids and it's unexpected because such is military life. But I'm
Yeah.
sure we'll get into all of that.
I have to tell you, from the first time that I saw your content, I'm like, I gotta have her on. Your
I mean,
content is so good.
oh
Anyone
my,
out there who hasn't seen Rue's content yet, you must check it out.
oh my
Um,
goodness.
just your personality, how your approach, and just your content, just in general, it's amazing.
Wow.
Um,
That
the
means a
other
lot.
thing I was super curious about is like, you might be the only human being on planet Earth named Rue.
That is definitely not true. And there are a lot of dogs also named Rue. I'll tell you that much. It is not that uncommon of a name. And I think a lot of people named Rupert have this nickname. And
Wow.
yeah, I've met a few people that have like siblings that have this nickname. But I embrace my Rue, my little Rue name that everybody thinks is cute when they meet me.
Yeah, I love it. Did you like it initially when you were
I
younger?
mean, it's been a journey. So it's interesting. My full name is Ruhi Amber. And so
Uh,
I'm Indian. My mom gave me this name because she moved to England. We're British immigrants, moved to England when she was 10 and was teased for her name. She has an Indian name, and I think a lot of immigrants can relate to this. And so when I was born, she wanted to give me a traditional name and then also a more Western sounding name so that I had a choice if I, ever needed it. And when I was 7, I decided that I did want to go by Amber because I was tired of all the kids at school calling me Ruhi Poohi or not knowing how to say my name and just always feeling very othered, and this is the 80s and 90s in England. Nobody's trying to pronounce your name correctly.
yeah.
So I went by Amber from the age of 7 until about 10 years ago. And
Oh,
so all through college, beginning of my career, and then it was moving to the States 10 years ago when I was like, okay, you know what? My family always carried on calling me Rue. It was weird if they called me Amber. And I was like, this is really who I am. And I want to get back to and like reclaim that identity and my culture. And
mhm.
so I decided this is the perfect opportunity. I'm moving, I can switch it back easily with the paperwork and back to Ruhi Amber instead of Amber Ruhi. So
There you go.
shout out to anyone who knew me as Amber if they're listening.
I love it. I'm a firm believer of like reinventing yourself and rebuilding yourself,
Yeah, totally. We
Um,
can do it all the time, right? That's the point of life. We're evolving constantly.
yeah, I think for a long time I was the type of person that was so attached to like the old version of me. One thing I know now is like today's version of me is better than yesterday's, and tomorrow's version of me is going to be way better than today's.
Exactly.
So it's
That's the
like,
mindset to have because that's how you improve. I love that.
so if your life movie was starting, what's the opening scene?
Oh my gosh. Okay, this is a curveball question. You didn't prepare me for
Yeah,
this. I love it.
early.
Oh my
It was
gosh.
one that I just thought of and I thought was so good.
Well, I do love that, but I kind of do have my origin story. It's not a villain origin story, but maybe like a superhero origin story. And it's not it's pretty typical to what the movies start with. My dad actually passed away when I was 1. And you know how in a lot of these movies, that is the catalyst for like so many things that happen to these people because they lose a parent. And so, of course, it's not a very happy thing, but I do see that as my origin story that has kind of led me on the path that my life was to become because it's so early for such a big life changing moment to happen. Um, so I guess it would be that. It would either be the opening scene is us all together as a happy family or the aftermath of tragedy.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, all
It doesn't
right.
relate to my career at all, but to your question.
I mean, it does though. I mean, it's so crazy because I mean, that's what it is. We have the butterfly effect. Like,
Yes, exactly that. Yeah, and that was mine.
there you go.
Real.
um, so social and influencer marketing. It seems
Mhm.
as if you've been doing this for quite some time before it was so popularized.
Yeah, yeah.
So, so take me down that path. What made you get into social and influencer marketing?
Yeah, it's interesting actually. And I mean, definitely started way before social was what we know it today. And really, it actually started in the early 2000s in my bedroom when I was building fan sites. That is the real beginnings of this. And little did I know it then. Literally, I had friends worldwide. There was like me in London, a person in Amsterdam, in um, Lisbon, in Philly, in Atlanta. And we would literally stay up all night building websites. And we built this site called Young Black Stars. It was a fan site for young emerging Black talent in the States. People like Kiki Palmer, Yara Shahidi, Kofi Siriboe, like all those people. And we built a community of thousands of engaged fans, like thousands, and through forums and message boards. And we were like in touch with the managers, in touch with the parents. I interviewed Yara Shahidi when she was like 7. Like we
What?
really, for some teenagers in our bedrooms, we did some crazy stuff to like connect that much to, exclusive news and things like that. But I didn't know at the time what I was doing was like community building or what would become social. And I actually started my career in TV. I went to film school because I wanted to be a sitcom director. I loved entertainment and I was like, that's what I want to do. But I worked in TV for a couple of years. The UK was not ready for stories from a little British Indian girl like me. It was not. And then it was actually speaking to a family friend, Anna Bannerman is her name, and she unfortunately really sadly passed away a couple of years ago, but such a special woman and who I thank immensely for helping me take this path because she worked in digital marketing at the time at an agency in London. And she took the time to sit down with me, look through my resume. And she's the first person that told me all of this stuff that I've been doing, like with the fan sites and skills that I built, that could pivot into a career in social, I knew
Mhm.
social, I could do this. And the social media manager roles is what I should be going for at that point. And it changed everything for me. So I had started working at a marketing agency, editing videos because I knew how to edit. And I was like, I love marketing. I get this. And then because she told me that, I got a job as a social media manager at a creative ad agency. And that literally was the beginning of everything. And I really think that's just such testament to you have to be able to see it to be it. And like, I
Mhm.
didn't know anyone that worked in advertising, and meeting her was like such a possibility model for me. And because she took the time to tell me that and to show me that it was possible, then look what that became. And that's
Yeah.
why I just want to be that for other people all the time.
I'm a huge believer of exposure. Like you, if you don't know, you don't know. Like I have
Exactly.
plenty of people that I've grown up with who might not be here anymore or who like are locked up. They didn't have the exposure to a better possibility, you know? And so
Exactly.
that's awesome that you had that. Would you say that she became a mentor to you?
Not in that regard. Our interactions were short lived in that way, but she definitely, I would say, was a mentor in the fact that she changed my trajectory so much that I always went back to that moment to know that I was doing the right thing and I was on the right path and I could do this because she gave me that confidence. And she,
Mhm.
set up an interview for me at the agency that she was working at, and I didn't get the job, but it was just that belief that someone would, pour into you that way. I think that changes you, whether you have more interactions with them in the future or not. That has given you something that you can take forward.
So you end up landing a role in influencer marketing, right? What was that like? What was that first experience like?
Yeah, so it was just social then. This is before influencer existed. So this is 2011, 2012. So social media manager is a very brand new job title. And
Yeah.
at that time, Facebook was what we were doing mostly.
Mm.
Instagram didn't exist yet. 2 more years until that became a thing. So I was managing Facebook accounts for things like Cause Light. These are all compare the Meerkat was like a insurance, really popular insurance back in the day in the UK. I don't think it exists anymore, but them. And that was a fun one because literally, it like Geico, their mascot was a meerkat, so I had to be the meerkat on Facebook.
Ah.
It was pretty fun. Um, and just basically brands like that. And it was really cool. It was, so fun. You practicing copywriting, things like that. I continued in that vein, stayed in the ad industry for 13 years. That's what I did for 13 years. So just continued in social because that becomes your kind of bread and butter when you start in something that at the time is so niche, but then was developing so rapidly. And I've
Mhm.
done it from the creative agency side, from the media agency side, which is obviously like paid, from the PR agency side, which is more on the comms side. And I mean, when I was working at a media agency, that we launched the first ever Instagram ad for Cadbury's in the UK. So that was like another milestone, and again changed the industry. Like monetization is what transformed social into what it is
Yeah.
today. And so being along for the journey all those years, it's been so fascinating seeing it change. And then obviously the creator economy becoming a thing, and obviously influencer marketing has been a thing for many years even before the pandemic. And I think I started doing it more so in, I'd say, 2016 is when we really was spending money on like I used to do it for Extra Space Storage. This is after I moved to the States, and really launching their Instagram through creator partnerships. And then I think the pandemic is what really just turned its face into like the huge economy that it is, and really propelled it beyond what
Yeah.
we'd seen at that point. Because the amount that influencers were making in 2016 is nothing compared to what they make today.
Wow, there's a lot to dissect there, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But the thing that really that with the last thing that you said is like influencers what they made versus in 2016 versus post pandemic. I read an article, I reposted it. It said something along the lines of like 300,000 black women have been laid off or something like that.
yeah. I saw that
You,
too.
you saw
Yeah,
that article
I've
too,
been
right?
seeing the headlines. Yeah,
And the thing is, like, I just think that the creator economy in general is a big part of that. Like, I think people look at it like, oh yeah, corporate America, blah blah blah, bad this and that. I
mm.
think that is that a lot of black women realize they can make a lot more money being content creators.
I mean, I hope that's the case. I hope that's what they pivoted
I
into.
mean,
I
I mean,
do
they
think
dominate LinkedIn. They definitely dominate
yeah,
LinkedIn.
that is true. We know a lot of that community on LinkedIn. I do think, I mean, it's huge numbers, and I do think there's systemic issues at play. I think
Hmm.
it would be easy to minimize it into it just being that, and I would love for that to be the case because that means they are thriving, making money, doing their thing.
Yeah.
But I do
Wishful
think
thinking.
it's it's probably unfortunately not as simple as that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, unfortunately, it is wishful thinking. Post-pandemic, right? Let's go back to that. Us millennials, we had different side hustles. We
yeah,
raked leaves, we shoveled snow, lemonade stands. Nowadays, kids, their side hustles is, I don't have my phone on me, my son has it, but there's they get and they press record and that's their side
yeah,
hustle.
literally
You know?
starting a YouTube or yeah, crazy.
So it's like, it almost makes me feel as if, and it just all circles back, right? Because I also heard a crazy stat like by the year 2030, we'll need like 500,000 plumbers and electricians, like something crazy like that.
Well, it makes sense, right? Because if
It would-
everybody wants to be a YouTuber, this is one thing that was so interesting when my son graduated from kindergarten in May, and when they do the ceremony, they talk about like what all the kids want to be. A huge portion of them wanted to be YouTubers. I was floored. It was just, and I mean, I get it because of course they understand that, but these are 5-year-olds. That's like things they're aspiring to be. Not that it's a bad thing. There's people making money out of that. It's, a worthy career if that's what they want to do. But so interesting how it's not, firefighter, policeman and all that anymore. They're obviously wanting to be engineers and things like that too, which love it. But the
I,
YouTuber was in there.
I don't blame them.
Yeah, I know, especially with how much money they're making. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't blame them. I'm right there with them. I believe if you're a garbage man, you need to be recording the content, creating content in
True.
like
Yeah,
your job. People want to see behind the scenes, you
they
know?
do.
It's difficult because you hear about the corporate layoffs, you know, you just what used to be certainty for our parents is no longer certainty for us.
Yeah. And that's a fact. Yeah. And it's such a business propeller. I mean, it's marketing. Social is marketing at the end of the day. And people that understand it and do it well, like you think about all the people on TikTok who are like pool cleaners that have got, millions of followers because they are good at filming videos of them cleaning a pool. I like
Mhm,
watching that stuff as much as the next person. It's
mhm.
all and this is the same thing that happened back in the day. If you were good at marketing yourself in direct mail, if you had a really good technique as a car salesman and that your ads on TV were good. Like it's all marketing and it's just evolved. And now social is just more accessible than ever. And if you're good at it, you're
Yeah.
going to.
Yeah, I'm curious, since you've been in social for so long, if you
Mhm.
can identify what it is that makes someone, like, blow up versus, like, the average Joes.
Yeah. Yeah. If we're speaking from the creator side, is interesting. And I mean, the formulas are so different per platform because I feel like what would blow up on TikTok could be someone that's posting 5 times a day and just, has something really randomly interesting that goes viral and then they continue. And I think it's really what it is, regardless of whatever the spark is, your consistency. It will come down to consistency because you can have one viral video. If you don't capitalize on that opportunity and keep your momentum going, it's not going to go anywhere. You're not going to, move the needle. But all the people that I've seen grow exponentially on any platform is because they had a moment. So something they did was right and the algorithm rewarded them, but then they didn't just sit back. They took that opportunity and they were like, okay, I want to do something with this. And then they've done something with it. So I
Yeah.
think that is really the differentiator. Sometimes it doesn't even come down to content or what you like on camera or because there's something for everyone, right?
I've run into people who, like, I have cousins, friends who say, "Yo, I would love to start making content.
Mhm.
I just don't know what I would do." Or do you think that paralysis analysis is obviously it's a deterrent? So, do you think that the reason that people are deterred from creating content is
Mm.
because they feel like they're too late?
Oh, interesting. Potentially, but I feel like it's never too late because if you look at LinkedIn, I mean, I kind of felt like that when I started really going hard only 6 months ago.
Hmm.
And still only 1% of people on that platform are making content. And there are people that have been doing it for years, but there's always room for someone new. So potentially that could be, but I think people that are really determined are going to do it anyway. I think it's interesting because so many more people wanna do it now, and rather than coming up with their own formula, they're just looking at what's working for someone else and trying to emulate that, and
Hmm.
while that can work for some people, like, okay, I'll use family influences or mom influences as a not to gender it too much, but, a lot of moms do, wanna be content creators, and I follow a lot of them, and they see others doing, they're like, "Okay, I could do this. I could film my kids all day and make content and, I can do what they're doing." But the dedication, I think people don't realize how much work goes into being a full-time content creator. You have to be thinking of ideas all the time. You have to be listening to your comments and your audience all the time. Like, what do they want from you? Coming up with ideas all the time, planning ahead. There's so much that goes into it. They earn that money. Like, that's one thing I can absolutely say working, on both sides of this with creators, they don't stop and they're filming constantly and it's a lot of investment and I think people get into it thinking, oh, it's easy, all they're doing is social media, I can just film some stuff, and then you're not going to succeed with that mindset because it's going to require so much more of you. And so I think that might be the either the cognitive dissonance of it or the gap that, like, people think it's easy, they get into it, realize it's not, and then step back,
Yeah,
no, I can't do this.
I think mindless entertainment content is
Mm.
easy or is easier.
Do you think it is though? Because okay, so let's
Like
break
like the like the dudes with the Lamborghinis who be doing
okay,
the
like that. Yeah, because that's
like,
just their life.
that's
Yeah.
super easy, you know what I mean? Trying to catch women, gold diggers, whatever, like, Or there's a girl who like approaches people and she's
Mm.
like, "Oh, you want to fight?" That's
Yeah.
mindless. It doesn't really. I think what's really challenging is educational content.
That is, yes, yes. But I will say, just to, be a devil's advocate, even that mindless content. Okay, so you think about them filming and putting this out online. She had to have someone behind the camera following her. They had to come
Mhm.
up with a concept for that video and say, okay, I'm going to go up to this person. They have a whole day of filming probably to go and like find someone that actually wants to film this video with them. Then they have to go home, upload the footage, edit it, upload that to wherever they're doing it, write a caption, keep engaging, and so it could seem mindless and easy, but there are so many steps to it that you don't see that's
Yeah,
still pretty dedicated that you spend a whole day filming this mindless
yeah,
content, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. I mean, attention is currency, right?
Right,
So
exactly. It really is. It really is.
however they get to it.
It's
Um,
an interesting conversation though to have.
let's talk about LinkedIn specifically because you
Mhm.
you did touch upon some on LinkedIn. I like I said, I love what you're doing in terms of your content. So I'm curious, how have you decided to use it as a strategy and not just social?
Yeah. It's an interesting question. I'm just a LinkedIn baby in these streets. I'm standing on the shoulders of all these people that have been, dedicated to this. And I am very inspired by them. And I hope to be at their level one day. So I'm glad that the path has been paved, that LinkedIn has become a place that we can do this. And I think I'm one of those people, typical millennial, the internet has been part of my life for so long. Like I've always had a side hustle, always tried to create some kind of content or do something online. And nothing
Mhm,
has ever really stuck because I didn't want to create content about my life and I didn't want to create content just about my kids and, entertainment in that way. I've always been very invested in my career and LinkedIn is the place that I can lean into that now because,
mhm,
it is a place for video. So I can make videos and people want to hear this information. And because I spend so much time on my career and I've spent so much time developing myself in that way, I can actually repurpose a lot of that and say, okay, it can work for me in another way now with content. And it's only, I don't have to worry about my family or anything being in videos that they don't want to be in. I can just do what I need to do. But I
mhm,
will say the reason that I want to lean into LinkedIn is because to me, it's valuable visibility. Like something that I've really leaned into or like really found to be true and something that I want other people to know is that you own your experience. I've been doing this for 17 years and I own that time, the effort, the skill set that I've, fought to learn during that time. I own that. So yes, I'll work for a company and lend them those skills and they get the benefit of them. But how else can I make what I've earned work for me? And
mhm,
I think LinkedIn is a perfect place because that still helps me with my goal of my career trajectory because that's my focus. Like I love, doing this creative stuff, but to me, I want to be something for people on the feed, but also in the boardroom. I want to
mhm,
get to a certain level in my career and in corporate because that's what I thrive on. And so, how can I make my skill set work towards that goal? And I do think LinkedIn at this point in corporate America and whatever we're doing, it's valuable visibility. You can become a thought leader and you can, have more people that understand your, skill set that you bring, the leadership that you bring, and your own brand of whatever magic it is that you bring to your job. So, valuable visibility is the reason.
I absolutely love that, and I agree with you 1,000%. You know, I mean, it's no secret, like, I genuinely feel like people who have their company, as their banner need to get rid of it yesterday.
And I mean, it's a choice. Like, I believe in the company I work for. I am hip. And also, this helps them too. Like, I think everything, because you work in
But
corporate as well. What
but
we're
that's
doing, yeah,
the point.
yeah,
That's the point, right? I just think that the old guard is done, and this is the new guard, and now the companies that are really smart are gonna align themselves and employ people who already have a personal brand.
yeah, yeah. And because that's what they want. They want a lot of, and especially not even just on the marketing side, they want a lot of the product folks, really mostly the product folks, because they're, the brains behind. So, and I'm speaking from the brand like tech side, but they want their product people to be out there because they have so much knowledge, to share. And And not everybody wants to do it. That's the interesting thing. And it's like, if people want to do it, I think it should be facilitated because it's a win-win.
You
Mhm.
gotta be brave to turn on the camera and say,
Yeah,
I'm gonna put myself out
you
there,
do.
um, you know,
Mm,
um, saying to yourself, I'm too fat, I'm too skinny, I'm too black, I'm too white, I'm too this, I'm too that.
yeah,
You need to get in front of that camera, stop playing,
seriously.
you
Seriously.
know? Like,
You have something for someone. You
you
have something that someone needs to hear.
everyone has their own personal journey,
Yeah,
and your journey is monetizable, you know?
exactly. Yeah, and
That's just what it is.
that I will say as well, like, define what monetizable means to you as well. Because, like, for me, I'm not out here trying to like secure all the brand deals or make money from my social. For me, the KPI or like even the ROI that I'm getting for this is how it helps me in my career goals. All the rest of it
Mhm.
is a bonus. So speaking opportunities, things like this, podcast opportunities, that is what is my, ROI that I'm looking for, not necessarily money in my bank account from a brand deal.
I
So
respect.
but
I'm
that's
sorry.
like but that no, I get it, and that's different to everyone, but that's what I mean. I think it's so key that, yes, is monetizable, but define what monetizable means for your goals, right?
The issue is a lot of people attach their identity to their title,
Yep, yep. We all fall into that. Not all of us, but a lot of people fall into that trap. I did.
So it's like being able to show up as yourself
Yeah,
and say, "This is who I am beyond my title." No
exactly.
matter what organization wants me or doesn't want, it doesn't matter. This is who I am. And building a community off that? What?
Exactly. Because that is so powerful. But also, so many people say this now, but your title is rented. Your title doesn't mean shit. Like, yes, it means something maybe internally, but even then, your title can is just a title. You have to earn the respect that you're given for whatever role you play. Like, it doesn't have to be who you are. You are
Yeah.
something about that. Because there's people out here that CMOs, CEOs, now doing their own thing without that title, still have the same skill set. Doesn't take away
Mhm.
from all the things they accomplished, all the things they can do, all the experience they've earned for themselves, the 30 years of experience. Doesn't matter if you're not a CEO anymore. Doesn't mean you can't do the job, you know?
Yeah, that's when they put ex-CEO,
Right, exactly.
ex-CMO,
Which is fair too, because you earned that. But it's like
Yeah,
it
yeah.
doesn't just because you don't have that title doesn't mean that your skill set is any less valuable.
And to be honest with you, sometimes I'm telling you, like, I've been in those boardrooms, I know you have too. Sometimes you might run into C-suites that's like, "You're really not that impressive." I don't know.
We're all
I'm
just out here figuring it out. This is something I realized.
ex
Nobody knows what they're doing.
exactly.
We're all just trying to figure out the right thing in the moment. And none of us have done this before. Every day we're on earth, none of us have done what we're about to do that day before. We're all a day older, a day wiser, and we're all just figuring it out.
Yeah, I actually learned that in, have you ever read Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence
Yes.
People? Classic
Mhm.
classic book,
Fantastic book.
everyone's
Yeah. Every leader needs to read that book.
Yeah,
Yes.
everyone needs to read that book, right?
Yes.
But the way my mind perceived it, I remember I wrote a note after one of the pages that I read, and it was like it clicked for me, right? It was almost as if almost as if no one really knows what they're doing. Like, the trophy, the championship when in the NBA or the NFL or MLB, when they hold up the championship, that's
Mhm.
like, Hey, look at us. This is a representation. We knew what we were doing the whole time." No one really
No, you
knows.
didn't. Yeah, exactly.
No,
Before you won that last game, you were worried you were not gonna win the game.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like, um, so with that being said, when you speak to people, and this is what I learned from the book, when you speak to people, make them feel as if they're earning points in a championship game.
Yep. Yep. And also make them feel as important as they are because everybody is important. No, everybody
Exactly.
knows something you don't know, regardless of where they sit in whatever pretend hierarchy we are subscribing to that doesn't really exist. It's, yeah,
Exactly.
we're all playing the same game and everyone deserves respect and has something they can teach you.
What's the toughest lesson you actually learned being in these boardrooms and on the corporate level?
Yeah. I mean, there's so many different ones, but I think the most important one that I learn constantly is that relationships are everything. like you can like being excellent at your job is not enough to propel you forward. It's obviously like one component of it, but relationships, the relationships you build, the way you socialize your wins, the way you manage your reputation, the way you treat people, those will be the biggest influence on your career trajectory beyond the hard work and like the output of your work. And building your community constantly, investing in it and investing in others so that they can also invest in you, and spending time on that is literally the success formula if you want to have a big career or a career that goes far.
I love that. I love that, especially, honing in on like how you treat people and listen, corporate America nowadays, you absolutely have to create allies.
Yes. And
You
also, I will
must.
add to that is not even just your relationships with other people, it's your relationship with yourself as well. How are you
Mm,
investing in your self growth? How are you, making sure that you are well regulated and coming, to a job so you can be the best leader you can be for your team or for the people that you interact with? How are you improving the way you communicate and learning new techniques to help people work better with you? I think that is the most important thing because it starts with you, right? And if you're coming from a place of regulation and a place of control over your shit, you're gonna, show up better in everything.
let me ask you, have you struggled with that in the past before?
I wouldn't say struggled because I'm really grateful that I have a mom who's always been very self-aware and has taught me to be really self-aware and has invested in my emotional intelligence from an early age. So I feel like I've been very introspective, but I'm not perfect. But one thing I will say is I've always really valued development. And to me, it's not just like learning and things like that. It's not just, a shiny new certificate or a new skill that I'm picking up. It's like, how am I pouring into the craft that I love? Like it sounds so cliche, but I really do am genuinely passionate about marketing. It's an industry that
Mhm.
I love. I'm passionate about the craft of it. I constantly want to learn more about it because it's just so in tune with what I enjoy doing. I love, strategy and things like that. And so how am I pouring into that to become better at that and to be a better leader to the people that I encounter? And I do think, and I speak about this often, that we focus so much on personal development and career development early in our career, but really when it's the most important is mid to senior career, because that is when you have the most impact on the most amount of people. You're interacting with people at a level that has a consequence
Mhm.
daily at that level. And that's when you need to be the best of yourself. And that's why you should continue, developing yourself as a leader, having a coach, investing in an executive leadership coach is the best thing I ever did. 4 years ago, I did that and I have reaped the rewards tremendously. Having mentorships, or having mentors and mentoring others, because you learn from mentees as well at different stages of life. Doing programs like leadership programs where you get to learn from, other people in the industry, keeping your connections in the industry you're in tight, and exploring them and being well connected in that way, because you learn things and get opportunities that way. Definitely, I feel like that is a key.
This is the "Am I cooked?" segment. Was there
Yeah,
ever
yeah.
where you have felt like you were cooked?
I love this question because I mean, hell yeah, haven't we all? There's a lot of things I could think about, but the biggest one that I'll use as an example of this is when I moved to the States 10 years ago. So I'd been working in advertising for quite a while, then almost a decade. I had to leave my job at the ad agency I was working at because we were moving. I was a little baby mill spouse. My husband and I had been married for 2 years at that point. My green card had come through. I was like, okay, it's time to move. So I had to get a job at a startup that had clients in the States because they would let me move with the job. And when you move into a new country as an adult, having a job is pretty important. So
Yeah.
at that point, we had been stationed in Utah. So I was due to move from London, working for one of the biggest advertising agencies in the world in London, to move to Utah, of all places. And I was like, wow, I had to quit this job. I'm working at this startup that's cool and everything, but not exactly what I want to be doing. Is there even an advertising and marketing industry in Utah? Like, what am I going to do? How am I going to continue this career? So once I got there, I found the ad and marketing industry in Utah. There is one. There are some great agencies out there. I did pivot into a job at an agency, and then I just worked really, really hard on building my community with the wider, like nationwide advertising world. And that's when I found ag color, and that has literally changed my trajectory, accelerated everything for me. Again, going back to how important community and relationships are. But
Mhm.
definitely at that point when I moved, I was like, I'm never going to be able to break back into advertising. I'm never going to be able to continue this career I love, but just goes to show there is always a way.
Yeah, absolutely. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah. Yeah. It may not be ideal. This is the thing. There'll always be some compromises because I did not want to be in Utah, but it's
And and
worth
that's a big I actually had that conversation with a friend today. Um, disruption is a part of the creation
Mm,
process.
yeah.
Like if when you're on your path and you're on your purpose, you have to expect disruption,
Yes. So
you
true.
know. And it's all about how you get over that hump that takes you
Yeah.
to the level.
Yeah. That's so important to remember. Yeah. Because there'll always be something. Change is the only constant, and disruption is part of change, right? Change is disruptive.
For sure, for
Yeah.
sure. So, you're a boy mom of 3.
I am.
How has motherhood shaped your journey?
Oh, literally turned it on his head. I mean, those little boys are everything to me. And I mean, I've never been more busy, but I've also never been more efficient. That is true. I feel like that's survival when you have this many kids. We have 2 dogs as well, so there's a lot of living creatures in our house.
Sheesh.
Um, but I think career-wise, I it's made me more empathetic. It's helped me understand a whole other subset of people, parents, that I couldn't have understood at this level before becoming a parent. And I think that makes you a better, you know, colleague, makes you a better teammate, makes you a better leader. And it really solidified my purpose, because how could you not be motivated when you have little people looking at you all the time? You literally created them. You have to show them the way. And anything that I do will always come down to what I'm showing them is possible. I'm their possibility model, right? So
Yeah.
if I'm following what I feel is my purpose and things that I enjoy, because even going to work, I mean, being a working parent and especially a working mom in this in this world today, it's something that you're judged for constantly. My kids go to daycare, my oldest is in school, but that's good for us. I need my job because that's fulfilling to me. They are
Mhm.
fine at daycare, they're learning. We have great time together and we are very intentional about the time we spend with our kids, but we need it to be this way. I couldn't be at home with them all day. That wouldn't be fulfilling to them or me. So you
Yeah.
just have to know what you need, right?
Listen, my fiance, she's a social media manager, and
Mhm.
she's done with the social media managing side of it. Like she's been doing social media managing for same like a long
Wow.
time, 10
Yeah,
like 10 years.
that's awesome.
Um and so she like shut down her business. She's like, I'm done. I'm gonna be a full-time content creator. And I'm like,
Amazing.
well, more kudos to you. But yeah, she tells me all the time, like, I don't know how people did it, how women
No,
did it in the
no.
50s.
And I mean, we had better villages then. My whole village
Yeah,
is outsourced at this point because A, we don't live near family, and B, that's just how it is these days. A lot of the time, you don't have a neighbor that's going to come watch your kids. So
yeah.
I think those are the compromises we make, right? The things we put into play to buy back our village. But back in the day, there was so many more people to support. mm, You know,
What? My mom let me tell you something. My
well, this is
parents
true. I was raised by a single mom who didn't have a lot of support, so maybe maybe it's short sighted of me to say
my
that.
mom, she had the ability to drop, like, us off at her parents, and I've seen this with a
Amazing.
lot
See?
of parents from the '90s,
Mm,
specifically with '90s babies. Like, it's not just my
mhm,
mom, like I said, I got 2 back-to-back championships. I am so,
mhm.
but, it's almost as if the grandmas of the '90s kids don't
Yeah.
really wanna watch their grandchildren.
Yes. They're like,
Like
"I have a life still."
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like,
And I
"Oh,
will
yeah, I
say my mom would look after my kids if she didn't live in England. But
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
think she would do it every day. She said that to me. Sorry.
my mom would probably look after my kids if I lived closer, but listen, my mom is, I know I'm not supposed Imma just say her she's 20 years older than me,
Mhm.
19 years older than me, and so she has, uh I wanna say, like, 10, 11 grandchildren.
Oh, wow. Oh, she's like
Yeah.
an MVP grandma. That's crazy.
She's like an MVP
But she's
grandma.
in her prime too, so she's probably
She's
like, "I'm
like the
not gonna
she's
live
like
it."
the Bill Russell of grandmas.
Oh my gosh. Oh, but she's literally probably out here looking good, feeling good, being like, "I have no one hanging off my hip now. I can go live my life."
Uh, we'll talk about it off camera.
I know this is the part that's gonna be edited out.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, no, I think you're doing great. Like I said, I'm so excited to continue to see you on your journey as a creator on LinkedIn because like I look forward to your posts for sure.
Oh, I
Like
love that.
there's you know how you can just see things in people? Like you can
Mhm.
see like, oh yeah, they're next up. You're one of those people for
Oh,
sure.
wow. I will
You
take that because I'm very new to this. I'm just very glad that when you start on a path and it feels very aligned and
yeah,
you kind of know that you're doing the right thing, that's how it
yeah.
feels. And I feel really grateful for that. And I'm enjoying it. It's really fun. And that's another thing, right? If you're enjoying it, it must be right. So thank you for
Yeah,
that.
yeah, you're definitely and this is one thing I learned about myself as well. I think maybe that exposure that you've had to so many different creators
Mm,
has like really shaped you to be able to do it easier than someone who's never like who's just starting because that's one of the things I've noticed with like the pod with my podcast and like
hmm.
my dad since I was a kid has been a DJ. I've heard him on the radio.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yep.
like, broadcasting
Yep.
and,
It's
public
in you.
speaking
Yeah.
in me, you know?
Yeah.
And it
Exactly.
it appears as if that's just, like, content creation is in you, like, you literally have some I'm telling you guys, whoever's watching this, she literally has some of the best content on LinkedIn.
Oh my gosh, thank you. But I mean,
Definitely.
I will say, not to make anyone feel like they can't do it, I went to film school. So editing, filming, all of that. Of course, I've learned how to do that. So it haven't been well practiced at it for a long time, but it is something that comes naturally because of that. So it's not something that can't be built. It's not something that can't be learned. And the more you do it, the more you film, the more you edit, it's going to get better and better. So it's not doesn't have to be a blocker to anybody. Anyone can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. We actually have that in common as well. I went to school for audio engineering.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
So see, this is all your wheelhouse right
Yeah.
here. There you
So
go.
I have some post-production, pre-production
Yeah, okay.
credits for sure.
All making sense.
Yeah. Um, when life does hit, what's the mindset that keeps you going and what keeps you moving?
Um, so something that I always focus on is that there is always something I can change or influence. I don't have to settle for an outcome that I don't want. And even if it takes a minute to find it, there will, and this is something for anybody can know this, that there will always be something that you can change or influence in a situation to make it even incrementally better. And again, like we said before, it's not going to mean that there's going to be no compromises or it's going to be exactly what you want, but at least you keep retaining your agency in every situation because you do have agency. And
Mhm.
it gives you a sense of power to know that you're making a choice that you're happy with.
I love that. You absolutely do have control. Like there's about like a year ago while I was meditating, I
Hmm.
had this thought that came to me, right? And I thought, this might be my TED talk. This might be a part of my TED talk. I don't know.
Oh,
We'll
preview.
see. But it's this concept of CPR, right? Like the
Mm,
only three things that we can control in our life is like consumption, production, and reaction. It's like
mm,
what we consume, not just from a physical
yeah.
standpoint, but like what we pay attention to.
Hmm.
Um, production, what we do after we consume what we consume,
Yeah.
and then reaction. How do we react to the things that we can't control?
That's powerful. Yeah, I like that.
Oh, so you agree it should be my TED talk?
I like that. Yeah, I feel like I would listen to a TED talk expanding on that. Got
Yeah.
something there. Yeah,
Okay. All right. That might be the one.
there you go.
Who's poured into you the most as a leader?
Oh my gosh, so many people because I mean, aren't we all of some of the people that pour into us? I mean, professionally, my executive leadership coach has given me so much that has helped me and continues to do that. Mentors, past amazing managers that I've had that you never forget a good manager. Obviously my professional network, friends, family. But I think also I've been really lucky to have amazing women role models in my life. My mom is I was raised by her. Obviously, I shared that my dad passed away and she was in her 30s. You know, she had a child by herself. She's a pharmacist, she's a business owner. She has pushed through so much, and my work ethic, my ability to see things from just a critical thinking lens and see things philosophically comes from her. And she has been so intentional in raising me. And I am so grateful for that because, of course, she had, so much going on. So she's definitely one of my number one role model. And then also my grandmother, she came to Britain in the 60s with £5 in her pocket. She was a trained teacher, but started working in factories to earn money to send for her two kids, my mum and her brother and her husband. So my grandfather sent for them, brought them all to the UK. And literally our family tree is the trajectory of our family is different because of the bravery that she showed. And then she, got back into teaching. She became a business owner. She's a singer. She's a philanthropist. She's a women's rights activist. She has
Mm.
charities that she's built that still, live on today. So, and her discipline and her work ethic has always been something that I look to as inspiration as well when I'm, doing my thing. So those two women, I'm proud to be their legacy for sure.
I love that. It's it shows
Oh.
it shows in you, so I'm definitely happy that you've had those people.
Hmm.
It's so crazy because um I don't know. I think sometimes I get caught up in that thought of like nature versus nurture,
Hmm. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Talk about it. I want to hear what you have to say.
I I just there's someone who no one no two like we're stones, we're not bricks, right?
Hmm.
So no two people are exactly the same, but there might be someone out there who has had the exposure the same way you did to strong women,
Hmm.
and life is completely different. Like completely different in
Yes.
a not in a positive way either, you know?
Yeah. That happens too. And I mean, I completely agree with you because now I'm obviously raising three kids of my own and I see that, and this is something that is not a concept I came up with. I hear this all the time, but even siblings with the same set of parents growing up in the same house will have a completely different childhood experience. All three of them. And we try and parent our kids very intentionally for who they are. Like they're all different and we parent
Mhm.
them differently. But even with that, they'll grow up and have different experiences of us as parents, of each other as brothers, and it is so much of like, you're born who you are because of nature. And I really do think these babies are who they are when they come out the womb. Like I can look to my kids when they were little and I can see it in them now. It's crazy. But
Yeah.
so much of it is the experiences that you have, the resilience that you're able to build, or how confident you are, or all of those things. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
fun for sure.
Listen, you do have siblings?
I don't. This is the interesting thing. I'm an only child. Yeah.
I got siblings, and I'll tell
Yeah.
you, nature for versus nurture exists. It
Yeah.
definitely exists. Sometimes I'll be looking at my siblings
It's like, did the same
like,
thing happen
"What?"
to you?
You know?
That's funny.
But I also think that that ties back to, like, exposure because,
Yeah.
like, I was the only person in my out of my siblings to graduate high school, you know what I'm saying?
Amazing.
But
Yeah, but kudos to you because clearly that was a great feat and something that was unusual in your family, and you probably pushed really hard to do that if it wasn't the common denominator.
you ever heard of the book Grit by,
Yes.
it's a huge it's a great book, but it talks about exactly that. I think that, um, my in my nature, I just have grit.
Mhm. Yeah.
I just have a different level of
Yeah.
grit, Um, and I don't know, but I see it. I've had friends who are the same way, like,
Mhm.
one they have siblings and one person might be successful, but the others aren't.
Yeah.
I think as a parent, if you like, you can't sometimes you got one of them kids that's just like, but
Yeah. No, totally.
If you can make all three of your kids successful,
Yeah. Yeah.
kudos to you.
Totally.
That's like the most difficult thing to do.
Yeah, and I think it's like testament to being able to parent differently, and it's hard work. Like people think just even having kids is hard work, but being intentional about learning who your kids are and what motivates them and what they're interested in and how you need to, inspire them to like push through or whatever is completely different. If you have multiple kids, oh my God, you're doing like triple the work every day to communicate with these little people. And yeah, it takes a lot, and I get why not everybody does it or not everybody can do it, but I think that is the key because if you can connect with them and get through to them in the way that they connect with and understand, that's how they're going to be successful because you're nurturing them in the right way, right?
Yeah, and I think it's interesting, like, especially if you have multiple kids, like
Mm,
I do, like you do.
right.
It's like you see little pieces of yourself
Yes.
in each and every one of them that aren't the same pieces.
Yes.
Like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Yep.
like my daughter, for example, she's super daring, she wants to jump off of everything, she's
Hmm.
super silly, she's like, like, she's just really, really silly, but my son, he's super analytical,
Hmm.
and super observant.
Yeah.
And so you just see these different things in them, and then still having to come to the realization that just because they have these pieces of you, they aren't you.
Yes, that is the key as well. But that is so great when we recognize that as parents because they're such mirrors that it's so easy for us to like put our own selves into who they are. But they're their own people. And like what
Yeah.
works for us is not going to necessarily work for them. Yeah, that's so important. I love that.
What's next for Rue?
Oh my
What do
God.
you, what?
Deep question. I mean, there's a lot happening right now that I'm really excited about with especially just through LinkedIn, the people that I'm meeting, yourself included, like building so many new relationships that I is really fulfilling me and fueling me, which is awesome. Just so much more content to create. I'm trying to film a new little series that'll be starting next week of shorter videos. So that's been fun. Scripting those. I've got some speaking stuff coming up, more podcasts coming up, um, lots of stuff like that. And then obviously on the other side of it, work, continuing to just push myself forward on the corporate side and, reaching my goals that I want to reach there as well.
Rue, thank you so much for dropping gems and keeping it real with us today. And for everyone listening, thank you for pulling up to the Virtual Cafe. Until next time, stay blessed and highly caffeinated.